Hello tool groupies, maintenance men, mechanics, do-it-yourselfers. Welcome to the Backwoods Mechanic channel. If you like tool reviews, do-it-yourself, how-to videos, and much more, pop the clutch on that subscribe button. And let's talk about this Jobsmart tool review. What we're looking at here today, I was down at my local Tractor Supply once again. I didn't intend on going back down there for a whole bunch of different things, but I went in to go buy some bolts. You know, got some really long bolts, had to have some grade 8s to work on a machine that I was fixing earlier today. And as I was shopping, I seen this little thing right here sitting right there on the rack all lonely by itself amongst some other Jobsmart tools and some GearWrench tools. And it was saying, buy me for $15, and I just couldn't pass it up. When I first looked at it, I thought it was a GearWrench product. Because, you know, they got a whole lot of different tools down there at Tractor Supply, and about once a year they roll things in, they roll things out, they switch everything up in the entire store. And I just recently picked up some different tools from Tractor Supply, the Jobsmart name brand, to try out to let all of you know how the products work. I was shopping around there before Christmas, found some pretty decent deals at a pretty good price, and I was like, you know what, it's worth gambling on just to put some tool reviews out here on the Jobsmart name brand. You can check out the message boards and, you know, all that kind of stuff and see what people say, think, and believe and feel about these particular tools. And most people like the big 3/4 inch strap before, but not many people talks about this stuff. Most of the time you'll see these store reviews where people walk, oh, there's their junk stuff right there, that Jobsmart. And then they'll keep on going and they'll be looking at all the other stuff. DeWalt, Stanley tools, GearWrench tools, but they really don't pick up the Jobsmart. So I want to use their tools and I want to see how they work in real world scenarios, doing automotive repairs, machine repairs, maintenance repairs, and everything else that I come across. So far, the tools have held up better than what I've thought, but I won't give my final opinion on these tools until quite a few months down the road. If you want to know that opinion, you got to hit that subscribe button. Now what we're looking at right here, like I said, is 15 bucks, you know, and I was just getting ready to buy the 84 tooth 3/8 drive GearWrench sitting right beside it for 20. A matter of fact, Ratchet on sale right now for $26. 35 bucks, but if you can pick it up, it's on sale for 25 bucks at your local Advance or CarQuest stores if they still got them in stock. If they don't got them in stock, they're also the long handle flex head 3/8 drive ratchet, but if they don't have them, look for the Tech Correct Pro version. In other words, Tech Pro, which is this one right here. The Tech Pro is an identical rebranded GearWrench. Any of the Tech Pro stuff you get that's low profile is going to be made in Taiwan. If it's got a quick release, it's going to be made in China. These are rebranded GearWrench products. They're the rebranded 84 tooth GearWrench. They share the same part number as GearWrench. They just reference a different ratchet in that particular series. But as far as this goes, so on sale for 25 bucks. So if you need you a decent little flex head ratchet, these things have worked pretty good. I didn't do an initial tool review on these, but I bought 2 of them to try out, and I have used them since I bought them. So I will be doing an update video soon on these. But this is what your 84 tooth Tech Pro / GearWrench is going to look like. Anyhow, I was looking at this one. It's a quick release. It doesn't have what this one's got. This one's got the little ribs right here and the little detent ball right there to kind of help hold it in place as you move. This one you can help tighten it if you want to. It's got the reversing switch, the low profile head, and then you've got your retaining ring right here and your plate to access the gears. With the Tech Pro, we have the reversing switch, just like that one's got. It's not a low profile, so neither will this be. It's got the quick release, which that one does not. And it does have the little retaining ring in the plate, and it doesn't have any little ribs right here. It doesn't have any detent ball right there. It's just a regular pin knocked completely through the handle here. So in that case, I mean, it's actually holding pretty tight. I figured it'd be flopping around and pretty loose, which I'm sure it'll loosen up over time. You know, a lot of them do if they're not the good quality stuff. But that's the differences in them two right now. Now this is the Jobsmart Ratchet Flex Head 3/8 inch drive, and it does have a lifetime guarantee. So even if I do break this, all I got to do is walk into Tractor Supply. They will warranty these out in store. No problem. If they got the ratchet right there on stock, they will get it to you. If not, then you can contact Tractor Supply directly. The link will be right there on the screen, or you can call 1-888-376-9601 and they'll take care of the problem. But they will warranty these out if you're not satisfied with it. Full money back guarantee. Just keep the receipt. Now, as I said, this one, you know, it's got some similar features though, don't it? Matter of fact, you know, this is what the GearWrench / Tech Pro looks like. These ain't bad for 25 bucks. They're made in Taiwan. You know, it's got all them good qualities about it. This one is made in China. So that's a knock against it because it's made in China. But for $15, I mean, it was well worth buying, because if I do 2 or 3 jobs with this and it makes my life easier, well, it's already paid for itself. I mean, come on, mechanics. We all know that these things, and there might be somebody out here. Most of the time, these types of ratchets right here is going to cost you 35 bucks, and you can't always go buy them unless you go. If you got a Harbor Freight nearby, you're going to go pick up a Pittsburgh Pro. The Tech Pro is every bit as good, if not better, than a Pittsburgh Pro, because it's a rebranded gear wrench, like I said. So it's a really good quality product. But not everybody can afford those kind of prices. So what I'm wanting, Jobsmart, as good as what you're going to find in the Pittsburgh Pro line? Or is it better than what you're going to find in the Pittsburgh Pro line? Maybe somebody can shoot Client Graphics a message and ask him to do some head-to-heads on some of those tools. Now this, what I want to point out right there, is this is identical to the GearWrench version, which is this right here. As you can see, side by side, both of these are identical. If you're looking at them, there's only very few minute things that is different with these two. As far as the handles, they got the exact same handles. They got the double straps here and here in the exact same places. This one's got Jobsmart. This one's got GearWrench on it. And as far as the necks right here, they're both relatively the exact same. As I will bring them up closer to the screen for you. As you can see there, these are pretty well identical to each other. Now the necks of the head are the same. The only big difference is here. You can see the little cutout line right there where they would normally mill that out for this reversing switch. This one does not have that. This one has a slightly fatter reversing switch than this one, but they still are the same. The head of the gear wrench, the overall circle, is a little bit smaller, and this one has 2 screws in it as opposed to this one that's got the plate. This one has got the wider head. Now as far as the thickness on both of these, as you can see here, they are pretty well the same thickness. Now if we flip them over here, the gear wrench, which is the one right here, is the sealed head. It's the one with the 2 screws. So that makes it worth a little bit more money, give it a little bit better quality because it's got the sealed head. And with GearWrench, they do mill out a hole right there. They go through that hole, put those screws into the plate, so it's a nice sturdy head on this ratchet. Whereas with this one, you have got the plate and the snap ring, so that weakens this ratchet in comparison. Any of them that's made with the sealed head, you know, it's going to be a little bit stronger, especially whenever they groove out through the bodies. And this one, we will open it up here and find out how it looks. But as far as the rest of it goes, as you can see here, you know, the pawl is probably going to be bigger here than what it is right here. So there's very few qualities and very few differences, and that's because Apex Tool Group, the ones who own SATA and Crescent, who rebrand and make the Tech Pro line. They help make tools for Autocraft and CarQuest and Advance Auto. So in a nutshell, I would guess, given what I have seen and compared certain tools to, that Apex Tool Group is the ones that Tractor Supply has went to and asked them to make them tools. For two, they sell Crescent products in store and they sell GearWrench products. Now Tractor Supply also sells Tecton, Ingersoll Rand. But when it comes down to these particular tools, I think it is Apex Tool Group owns the contract with them to supply them with their Jobsmart line tools. They're just made a little bit cheaper, whereas, you know, the Tech Pro, certain things, like I said, this one is a rebranded GearWrench down to the T. Everything about it's just got a different name on it. But certain products from the Tech Pro line are rebranded Crescent products, and they are made in China. There's where the price difference comes in at, is whenever it's made in China, because the quality is a little bit different, and how they change minute things about it is going to make it a little bit different, because it's not going to be quite as strong. But you're going to be paying for something that is going to work to an extent depending on what you're doing. Do-it-yourself work, general purpose maintenance repairs, things like that. These things might hold up fine. We will find out. But that's why, you know, the non-recessed reversing switch is not that big of a deal right there. What is going to be the big deal is the fact that it's got the plate right here instead of the sealed head, because that leaves it a lot more room to wiggle and move than what you're going to get with the gear wrench right here. And what it looks like on the inside is going to make the difference. As far as the exterior and everything else, they're virtually the same. So we're going to pull these things side by side from their gear heads. Now right here is what we're going to be looking at. I'll bring it up to the camera and show you, as this one right here is going to be the Jobsmart. This one right here is going to be the GearWrench. Now this was essentially what I was talking about. With Jobsmart, they have the retainer ring that is going to be sitting inside of there holding this in place, and they do have it nice and solid all the way around through here, which I didn't really expect, because sometimes they have a lot of extra space right there. In this particular case, they do not. But with the gear wrench, they have milled it out to where that plate sits right down in there, and the screws run through the actual body of the gear head right here into the plate, so it keeps everything nice and tight. So as far as the interior of these both go, they are identical to each other, except when they made the gear wrench, they just decided to mill it out to the bottom. So whenever they got the blanks for these things, they didn't go quite as far. They milled out a little here and up through here, just enough to put the gear heads in. You can look at them and tell that these things are identical. There is very, very little differences between them. The pawl is a little bit bigger as far as the gear wrench goes, and this one is not. As you can see, there is a slight gap right there on the bottom where the ball would be at, as opposed to what's here with the gear wrench. Now whenever I flip the switch, it's nice and tight. You flip the switch and it's a little bit loose inside there, so there is some slight differences that make it just a little bit cheaper. And with the drive itself, they did give it a little bit thicker base right here as it runs up than they did this one, because the steel is different. The one with the gear wrench is made a little bit stronger than the one with the Jobsmart. So for $15 all out, it's not entirely too bad. I would like to see somebody put these up against Pittsburgh Pro and see which one come out stronger, whether it would be Jobsmart or whether it would be the Pittsburgh Pro. As a matter of fact, I would like to see someone like Client Graphics do that, and even throw in the Tech Pro, just to see what the results would be on these between the gear wrench, the rebranded gear wrench, the Jobsmart, and if they have a Crescent Flex set out here, try them out too. Now the one thing that you would have noticed between these two ratchets are they was both greased. Now some of these, like some of the Harbor Freight name brand, when you get them, they don't even put any type of grease, any type of oil on them, but at least they did that with this cheap Jobsmart. So for 15 bucks altogether, and you're basically getting what is a gear wrench manufactured product. It's just under a different body with a little less quality to it. I mean, it's not too bad for $15. But right now, instead of paying $35 for this one or this one, if you need a good set of those at your local Advance or CarQuest, I do recommend going and getting either one of them, because GearWrench or Tech Pro is actually a pretty good name when it comes to these two particular ratchets. As far as these two go, this one's got the little detent ball right there, and it kind of moves back and forth, sways back and forth and all that. So it's got its perch to it. You know, there's no way to tighten it up either, but it does flex back and forth. It is pretty tight. You can move it back and forth. We could even put a socket on it, and as you can see, it holds the weight of that 11/16 deep weld socket here by GearWrench. Now, here's the difference between putting the quick release button on the gear wrench. You push it, pops right out. As far as the quick release button goes, it's nice and sturdy. Now we will try out our Jobsmart. We will put it on there also. A little bit harder, and it's not moving all that much. You did need to twist it, turn it, put it in a position. This one at least is nice and sturdy. Now we will see how the quick release button works here. This one is actually, I mean, it dropped the detent ball, it did drop the socket, but this one is a stronger spring than what is inside the gear wrench. The gear wrench is actually a little bit softer. You can easily push it, and this one has got a very stout spring in it. I did not expect that. I mean, you actually got to put some force down on this to get that thing to move, to drop the detent ball out of the way, which is a good thing, because you're not going to accidentally bump it and it just fall out on the floor whenever you're making repairs. And since we're working with some gear wrench today, we will pull out our little block of wood. First things first, you know, the gear wrench. Of course, whenever you need to get into different jobs, different positions, sometimes, you know, you don't always get to go straight on it with a traditional ratchet. And I could compare them to different ratchets out here, pull them side by side, put them together. You cannot bend anything here. So sometimes you'll need to get in a situation, like if you're coming downhill, that you need to be able to turn the head of that ratchet that you're working with. So you're going to want to be able to do something like this. You know, if you get in those different repairs, it's really nice to be able to get something at an incline and have different places that you can position your hand on these ratchets. And sometimes you'll be in those situations where, you know, you might be working on something that is facing away from you and you need to get in there with it. You know, you can get on there with something like this. You can get you some leverage and you can work it back and forth. Now with the gear wrench, of course, it's going to work perfectly fine. The only thing that I hate about this kind is because, you know, you can't lock it. You know, if they have a locking version where you can lock the head on it, it's much better. But in a spot